I was on a date. This guy like drives up, pulls his window down, was like, Kajol, I watch your YouTube videos. You don't need 1 million subscribers to make money as well. I think on 5,000 subscribers, I was getting really good brand partnerships. My name is Kajol. I actually am a consultant at Deloitte, and I make videos on career and life, helping other people to have access to this information because I struggled with that growing up. Essentially, people watch me for my career. That gives me credibility on the YouTube space. I wouldn't watch someone who decided to quit quite early on in her career. That 0 to 5,000, you need to do everything you can to market the shit out of yourself. And I have always tried to build SEO so that even today, 4 years down the line, someone types in consulting, they will see a video of mine. Whereas I think, if you try to go viral, you don't build up that SEO all the time. If it's just to make money, go dropship, do something else, right? But if it's about maybe like starting a sustainable business for the future, YouTube is a great way to kind of market that. There is no time better in the life to start something except for now. Just go for it.
Kajol, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks. Thanks for having me here.
My absolute pleasure. You're a guest I've wanted to have on the podcast for a long time. I've been doing this for 4 years, over 4 years now. I'm pretty sure I've been in the DMs like a while ago trying to get you on because you've been in the YouTube space for a while as well.
Yeah, I have been on, it feels like a long time for me. But no, honestly, I know we've been speaking for a long time. So finally, so happy to be here as well.
That's amazing. And I think the first thing is, as an introduction, so just to the guests that are listening, who are you and how did you get into YouTube in the first place?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Kajol. I actually am a consultant at Deloitte, and I make videos on career and life and just my, and like personal development. And basically I got into YouTube over COVID actually. So I think I have always been like some sort of entrepreneur by heart. Like I was that child selling sweets at school, like for like way more than I bought it for. At uni, I had like a couple of startups, and then I was in Deloitte, and I was like, I'm just so bored sitting here on my sofa at home all day. What do I do? And I was like, I'll try YouTube. And back in the day, I tried my first YouTube video of and this was like way before COVID. I made my first made a makeup video, and then I put it up on YouTube, and all my friends laughed at me, and it was so cringe. So then I stopped that for 5 years, and then I was like, okay, let me try this now, but on career and cool stuff. So yeah, no, I basically did it over COVID. I basically felt like I didn't have those opportunities growing up in terms of knowing what consulting was. And I want to kind of give that back to other individuals who might not have that information in terms of consulting being an option and the different career options, and then also just how to grow in your career. So that's what made me start.
And why was YouTube the medium to do that? Because there's a lot of other ways you could do it. You could do it through podcasting, you could do it through blog writing, you could do it through going webinars or whatever. Why was YouTube the medium that you chose? I had basically when I was thinking of YouTube, I definitely came up with a business plan before I started YouTube, like a consultant would. And I essentially was kind of evaluating the different strategies I could take. So I could take short form content like on Instagram. I could take a podcast, for instance. I could also take webinars. But I thought, how do I hit as many people as I can? What will help me build loyalty for the future? Especially if I wanted to take that followership somewhere else, and how can I best connect with people? So for me, that was video. For me, that was long form content. And for me, I felt like YouTube would always be evergreen. And I always feel like the harder things to do are I would say more rewarding things in the long term. So I knew Instagram and stuff like that would be very short term money, whatever. But I felt like YouTube was something which I could essentially build an audience, which I could kind of take anywhere. And which, my videos would always be evergreen, for instance. That content is always there for anyone to help, and the best place for me to build a connection with people, essentially. So you were in consulting, and then you decided to make videos as a result. What was your first sort of video idea? And I guess what pushed you to actually make that, to make that first video?
So my first video idea was, okay, what I literally did on a piece of paper, I wrote down all the problems which I thought a student would have in terms of career, consulting, and whatever it was. And then essentially I came up with a list of video ideas based off that, because essentially like a business, when you're thinking about what to sell,
to someone, you're thinking about what is the problem that the customer has. And in the same way, the audience, the students are my customers here. So I very much did think of it like a business from the get-go. And my first video idea was like, let me just define what consulting is. I'm going to go after the consulting niche. And what really pushed me was, okay, where do I have an unfair advantage in? And I think Ali Abdaal, talks about this quite a lot. Like, what is your unfair advantage, which you capitalize on, which other people can't? And for me, I think that was consulting, purely because of my track record within it. I think a lot of people talk about like personal finance, for instance, without actually having £1 million in their account, which means they have no credibility. So I was like, essentially, where am I credible in? And what will make people listen to me for that story?
So it was a case of you wanting to get into YouTube rather than say, and consulting was sort of the way into that, rather than I'm a consultant, I should make videos on this? Yeah.
I'm going to be really honest. So one, okay, I completely agree. The strand around, helping other people to have access to this information, because I struggled with that growing up. I didn't know about consulting at all during uni, even until the last year of uni. So I totally wasted all the internships. The second strand was, okay, how can I make a future, like what will set me up for a future business? And in my head, I was like, okay, I'm pretty good at consulting, I think. How can I make this my own business in the future? So actually, I from the get-go, I wanted to start my own consulting business. And I was like, okay, how am I going to build my personal brand? Why are people going to come to me for consulting versus a Deloitte, a EY? So I was like, okay, personal brand, let me build it up. And YouTube, for me, was the best way to do that. And I kind of fell into helping people get into consulting rather than like eventually getting clients from it. But I enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved like helping people, making the impact. And I continued with that at that point. Yeah.
That's interesting. So your sort of end goal was to create your own consultancy company.
Yeah.
YouTube was the way of like building that personal brand, like gravitas, to allow you to make that leap in the future. That's really interesting, because loads of people start YouTube for different reasons. And I'm always interested to see sort of why people start YouTube. Sometimes it's for fame, it's for like the money aspect of it, because they see all these like the side men living the like lavish lifestyles or whatever. But that's very, very interesting. So what was the sort of like motivation for continuing? Because you were going for a while. What was it like? You started it 4 years ago?
Yeah, wow. 4 years ago. What kept me going was honestly the impact I was kind of making. Be it someone coming up to me on the street versus someone DMing me, or even people like just messaging me at Deloitte. Like, I knew I was helping people, and every video, even if I thought didn't really matter, was really rubbish, like someone would talk to me about it. And I almost like didn't realize, even like 15 videos in, how much like it helped someone. And I think purely because at that point, there was no one in the UK talking about consulting as thoroughly, I think. A lot of it was just like day in the life and so forth. But like what I wanted to give was either how to get in consulting or growth in your career, which might be really boring for some people, but ultimately like work is like half your life. And we're all here to make some money.
I mean, my background was actually consulting. Like when I graduated, that's the first job I had. So, and I agree with you, like there was hardly any content when I first started consulting. And then you had, like, that's how I discovered you. You had like people like yourselves and other people from the UK springing up talking about consultancy. And it was very good. I thought, like, in terms of it helped a lot of people, I would say.
I appreciate that.
Because I won't go into this too much, but consulting is one of these things where no one really knows what it is.
100%. Even sometimes I find it so difficult to like articulate what I do.
Everyone always asked me when I was doing consulting, what do you actually do? And I was like, well, we do this, we do this, we do this. It's like the hardest thing to explain.
It's like buzzwords,
It's all buzzwords. It's literally all buzzwords. What was your like proudest moment as a YouTuber? Do you even like calling yourself a YouTuber actually?
I don't call myself a YouTuber. I almost feel like I'm a fake YouTuber because I've just like taken a big break.
We'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I never thought of myself as a YouTuber. People call myself like a content creator, which at least sounds a bit better than influencer. Like, I hate that word.
Yeah.
But I almost just want to be like, I call myself like Auntie K. Like, I'm your like aunt in your career. Like, you come to me, like, I'm here to help you. And I kind of like have that. People call me aunt, like people literally call me Auntie K. I don't know how it stuck. Like someone started it, it just stuck. Sorry, what was the question?
The proudest moment as a content creator.
I think the proudest moment. Wow, that's a hard one. I think a lot of people are like, oh, when I got this many views or whatever. But I think for me there was this point where I had partnered with a few YouTubers, and we were like, okay, let's do a meetup. And it was 3 days before we were planning to do the meetup. And just sent something on my Instagram story. And like, I think like 200 people responded to that, being like, yeah, I would love to meet you in person. I wouldn't say it's like a proud moment, but I was just like almost shocked. I remember like that being like my most shocked moment, because I just did not expect anyone to actually turn up. I remember saying to them, oh, we'd be lucky if we even get 10, you know? And I think like 100 people turned up, for instance. Wow. So like it's weird because like when
these are all like viewers, basically.
They're all like viewers. It was crazy. And it's almost like, you know, when you're in a room and you're speaking to like 100 people, you don't actually realize what 100 people are in a room. Sorry, when you're watching, like when you see a video and let's say you have 100 views, you don't realize like how many people pack that up in a room, right? So actually, like my proudest moment probably is like, you know, I managed to gain followers and subscribers, but it's like, I really think it's like a community which kind of helps each other. Like at this 100-person community event, everyone was helping each other. Everyone made connections between themselves, and like I know people who still talk to each other from that. So for me, the proudest moment is like being able to connect people, being able to create a community, and that feels really fulfilling, I think, as well.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. Have you ever been recognized on the street or no?
Oh my God. So basically,
really?
Short term, just like, let me give you like a couple of stories. Actually, let me give you one story. I was on a date, okay? Like it was like first date with this guy. And it was near my work. So we're walking towards Covent Garden. And this guy like drives up, like in Covent Garden, like pulls over and pulls his window down, was like, Kajol, I watch your YouTube videos. And it gassed me up so much because like I was like, first date, best impression to do. But no, I've actually had quite a few people walk up to me and say hi, which has been really nice. Or have people like too shy to say hi and be like, oh, I think I just saw you in the street, which has been really nice. So I think when you meet, like, again, like I have a really small community. I'm not massive on YouTube, but like even when I had like 5,000 people on YouTube, people were coming up to me and I was like, oh my God, like, you know, actually like people watch my videos.
Yeah, this is crazy because I guess just to give people an idea of the scale of things, because when people think, you know, you get recognized on the street, they think you must have million subscribers or like you must be making content for a number of years, you must be on TV or something. Like at that point in time where the guy came up to you in the car or I don't know, I know this is all sort of vanity, but it's just fun to talk about. Like how big were you at that point?
I don't think I was big at all. Like I was probably like 5,000 followers. Really, okay, when I started getting people actually walking up to me and being like, hey, thank you so much, or hey, like I work in this company.
Yeah.
And this was on the train, this was in restaurants, and this was like even on the street. And like I think I was just shocked every time. And I still wouldn't believe it like that, just because you're at home, you're sitting on your sofa by yourself, and you just don't feel like anyone's watching because you're just like talking to a camera. But it makes it really real when people just like come up and say hi, to be honest.
What I really like about that is people do think, I know we talk about like it is kind of vanity, but the serious point behind this is, yeah, you kind of record the content yourself, or if for anyone listening, if it's stuff that, you know, you're writing a blog or something like that, where you see the analytics going up, like you don't need to have millions of views or millions of subscribers to actually make an impact.
And you don't need, so I'm just coming to like money now, but you don't need 1 million subscribers to make money as well. I think on 5,000 like subscribers, I was getting really good brand partnerships, which was like half my salary, like easily, you know, from 30 seconds, for instance. So I personally feel like for anyone kind of going through creating a community, be it how small, how you know, it is, the smaller it is, actually the more loyal your followers are, the more that they engage with you. And actually brand partnerships want that. Sponsorships want that. They don't want a million, you know, subscribers and only like what, like, you know,
1% buy. They want like, you know, people who really engaged, you know, from your community and who might not, you know, who will convert. Like, and actually I think on majority of the time, from what I've seen, people convert more on smaller communities than larger communities for, you know, if you're thinking about starting and you're not sure, you know, based on how long it's going to take.
That's amazing. So that was like the pinnacle of your YouTube career.
Yeah,
and then what happened? Talk about
that. I think everyone talks about burnout and it's such like a topic which might be overdone. But there was a couple of things going on in my life at that point. One, I just got manager. So after I think 6 years, I got manager at Deloitte. And then I knew that I wanted to go for early promotion and get senior manager. And I'm a type of like, you know, 0 or 100 type of girl. So I knew that when I doubled down on YouTube and I sacrificed seeing my friends to script, edit videos, weekends, nights, whatever it is, that's why I was reaping some of the rewards and saw some of the rewards. So I knew that I need to sacrifice something to get more time to focus on my career. Because essentially, people watch me for my career. At the end of the day, that gives me credibility on the YouTube space. And I wanted to get early promotion. I think just immigrant parents, you know how they make you work hard all the time. So it was like ingrained in me. So that happened. I got put onto a really, really shit project where it was just me doing 3 people's work. And then it was me coming home at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., writing scripts for YouTube, editing on the weekends for YouTube, and I just got burnt out, like honestly saying. And I can't explain it to you because I don't know how it is for most people, but for me, I feel like there's almost this fire which drives me in everything I do, and that's my ambition, and that really defines me. It's not good to do that. It's not good to have a job which, you know, or an ambition which you kind of self-identify with, but that's what I always have. So that kind of just like dropped. I basically woke up and I was like, okay, I don't want to do anything. I don't feel like doing anything. There's nothing that I want to achieve in life at this moment in time. So I knew I had to reconnect with seeing my friends and doing things which I used to love, which I gave myself like 1.5 years, 2 years to do that. Kind of got swept into like enjoying like friends and like going to loads of weddings and, you know, just enjoying my life. And over the last year, I started to consume content again. Like I couldn't consume content for a year, basically. I didn't even open YouTube for a year, basically.
Wow. Wait, just before you move on though, with the burnout, like what was your manifestation of that in terms of your relationship with YouTube?
Yeah, I hated YouTube at that point. I couldn't open, I laugh when I get awkward or I know about things, but like I loved creating videos initially. I loved like, you know, being known that I was helping people, but I couldn't open the YouTube app and see another video, be it from a friend's video. Couldn't even open Instagram and see content on Instagram. Like I couldn't even see my friends' content for a good like 6 months. YouTube was a year, basically. Instagram was like 6 months. And you know, when I just kind of like shut down, like I think there was a moment in time for a good 6 months. I did not respond to anyone's DMs. I did not do anything because I just did not care about YouTube. Like I ultimately, that fire left me and that was it. I just didn't care.
How would have that made you feel in terms of if you did open your Instagram or like open the YouTube app, like what would have happened?
Disgusted. I don't know why.
Really?
It's really weird for me to say that. Like I just felt like, I just felt like all the content I was seeing was either fake. People were doing things which didn't align to my values. And it might have just been that particular moment in time where people were just doing stuff. And I just felt like this wasn't genuine anymore. And I was like, I can't consume this. So I stopped. And I know there are some incredible people doing some incredible work at that moment in time. But I think I just kind of like focused on, you know, the bad as you do in a space in that moment in your head, right? And I just kind of stopped and I took some time out. And I took a long time out.
Was that positive, would you say? Like, do you regret it at all or no?
Oh, actually, I do regret it, man. I could be on way more subscribers right now, making probably lots more money or whatever it is. So I do regret it. I have seen people who started off with me and have like, you know, growing to like 250K, want like, you know, 900K, some people as well. I know that everyone's journey is different. And I think I've come to terms and to peace with that. I want a sustainable journey. I don't want to burn out, and I want to still keep my credibility in consulting, wherever that is, and my job. A lot of people like cop out, quit their jobs, and then, you know, still do YouTube talking about career, for instance. Like, I don't want to be that person. I want to try to balance both. And I think for me, like, I'm coming to this healthy moment now where I think I can do that. I'm also in the right headspace to do that.
How can you do YouTube just generally to people listening? Like, YouTube as a side hustle, is it a good thing, or is it something that you should double down on early doors, or like what does that look like?
I think everyone should do YouTube. I love it. I genuinely think that it depends on your ambitions. If you want short-term money, YouTube is not the place. But if you care about the long term, and, you know, care about the, you know, well, think about what your long-term ambitions are. And if it's just to make money, like, go dropship, do something else, right? But if it's about maybe like starting a sustainable business for the future, YouTube is a great way to kind of market that in some way. And if you're starting, like, if you're thinking about doing YouTube, like, you're wasting a minute, you know, every minute you waste is like you potentially going viral, you potentially, you know, learning about what customers want or what your audience wants, and you adapting, like, you know, your products based on that.
Do you think it's too late to get into YouTube?
No.
Loads of people say that.
Everyone says that. I think I probably got a bit late into YouTube as well. And look, there are like, okay, there's this great girl I've been watching her journey of. I'm obsessed with her. Her name is Nisha on YouTube. She does personal finance content.
Yeah, I know her.
She probably started like 2 years ago. And everyone would have said, oh my God, personal finance is so saturated. But look at her, man. Like, kudos to her. She's doubled down on personal finance. All she talks about is personal finance.
She's really good.
She's really good. And she has like a really simple template in the way she talks, right? Like, there's no fancy animations like most of the time. And like, it just shows that initially, like, she started off quite basic. And I know like now she's doing like some really cool stuff with animations, etc. But like, she just spoke to the camera 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Personal finance was saturated. And like, she totally bossed it, right?
Yeah, and she was in investment banking before, and she quit investment banking to do YouTube full time, which is crazy.
Which is crazy.
Which brings my question to you of, at that sort of crossroads where you were thinking, you know, I want to focus more time on my career, and you did say like you regret maybe not carrying on with YouTube. Yeah. Was there a moment where you were like, you know what, I've been in consulting for a while now. I think I've got enough credibility as a consultant. Yeah. Let me just do YouTube full time.
I think people watch me for my growth as a consultant and my career growth. I think if I had left consulting, that credibility just goes. Like, why would they keep watching me personally? Like, I wouldn't watch someone who decided to quit, like, you know, quite early on in her career because if she wants to talk about what manager life is or what senior manager life is, she can't, okay? There was a moment I was like, okay, let me think about quitting Deloitte and just trying and just seeing how this goes with YouTube. But I was like, man, I don't have enough money. So ultimately, I also do think that YouTube is not a long-term career for most people, like just doing YouTube videos. I think you have some people who have made that, and they are rare. Like Ali Abdal is someone, again, who's done that bottom up, but it's incredibly rare, right? And you kind of get the spotlight effect just because you see a couple of people doing that. Means that, you know, oh, you know, they made their lives the whole thing. But actually, like, I think content creators is like a cyclical thing. People come, people die, or like their career dies as a content creator.
Yeah.
There's not many content creators who have been there from 10 years ago, still YouTubing today, right? There's a few, but majority, I would say like 90% or even 95% aren't there. So at that moment in time, I knew that if I quit Deloitte and I went into YouTube, I would have a very early career death as a content creator.
So you wanted to work in consulting a few more years before you decide to like either start your own thing or do YouTube full time?
Yeah, 100%.
So where does that regret come from in that case? Because in that position, you sort of made the right decision then.
The regret comes from comparing myself to people now. Like 2 years down the line, which is now, so like 2 years down the line, I look at other people, right? And I've seen their growth, and I'm like, damn, like if only I continued, like I would be where they are. So the regret comes from comparison, right? And it's always a thing which is very human to do. And I don't know, like I think there was a point in time where I've always been like, how do I get this as quickly as possible? How do I do this as fast as possible? But actually now I'm like, actually, after I went through burnout and that whole healing process after it, I was like, actually, I want to do this sustainably as possible. So even if I don't get 20K or 25K or 100K in the next 2 years, I'm okay. Like I know the value of smaller communities and I know the value of my mental health now.
Was it always intended to be like a 2-year break, or was it or was it meant to be like a few months?
It was meant to be like a month.
Yeah.
Turned into 3 months.
The thing with content creation that people don't see is that, because with the podcast, I took a fairly long break as well. And it's something that you don't intend to do, I think, from the beginning. But it's like, once you get out of that routine, the momentum like kind of goes. And it's a difficult thing to sort of get back, because it's not an easy thing to just switch on.
Yeah. I think for me, it was, maybe it's different to other people. I basically did sacrifice seeing my friends a lot of the time to focus on doing YouTube. So once I sort of edged out of YouTube, that meant I had a little bit of time off for my friends and I saw my friends. And that basically meant that like, oh, I really enjoy seeing my friends again. Let me do more of that. And I kept doing more and less of YouTube. And I didn't realize 2 years had gone by.
Did you ever like check the YouTube analytics though?
Yeah, I still do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But like,
it's so addicting. Oh.
But you're still probably getting views even though you weren't posting at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the good thing about YouTube, which is why it's a long-term thing. That content is evergreen. If you want to really make impact, right? I just think YouTube is the way. I love it.
What's been your biggest lessons of starting a YouTube channel? Because I'd say like the content side of things has evolved a lot in terms of how people consume, what people consume now versus like when you started.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking now of getting back into it, what's your sort of like thought process?
There's 2 strategies I can take. I can take the let's do short form and long form at the same time. Well, let me just double down on long form. Someone like Nisha has just doubled down on long form.
Yeah.
Because she didn't do TikTok or shorts for a good year until after she started. But short form obviously has its benefits. And I think it depends on what type of creator I want to be seen as. I think a lot of the time, like more educational videos are long form initially. And more short form videos are more like fun, TikTok-y type of videos, right? So I think for me, I wanted to go sustainably and start with long form videos. I knew I grew early on because I did a lot of Instagram around it. I did a lot of marketing myself. So if you are a YouTuber and you're thinking about how do I get more followers, the first 0 to 1,000 is incredibly difficult. The first 1,000 to 5,000 is also very difficult. But then like you slowly start kind of like attracting people because you build up SEO, etc. So that 0 to 5,000, you need to do everything you can to market the shit out of yourself. So I did public speaking, I did events, I like basically just volunteered for so much stuff. And at the end of everything, I was like, here's my YouTube channel. If you want to follow me, right? And that's how I grew it, because I knew if I just sit there and did videos myself, just like every startup, like what they do is they always just think that when they build a product, if the product's great, which it might be, your content might be amazing, but no one's going to find your product. Marketing is one of the biggest things you need to do, just like with any startup. And the same thing applies to YouTube as a business, right? You need to, like, marketing is like 90% of it, I think.
But that's where a lot of people give up, don't they? Because they produce in their heart like the best content they can produce, and they think, people do want to watch this or listen to it if it's like on the podcast side of things, but they don't get the immediate sort of growth to even 1,000 views, it takes a while to get like consistent on 1,000, 2,000 views on a video. That's where most people give up. So yeah, I agree with you. Like getting to that 1,000 viewpoint or the 5,000 subscriber like point, it takes a while. But then you're saying after that, it's a lot easier to get that second 5,000.
Yeah, it's because you build up SEO. I think this again, few different strategies here. You could try to go viral, which is something I've never tried to do, or you can try to build SEO. And I have always tried to build SEO so that even today, now 4 years down the line, 2 years of stopping, when someone types in consulting, they will see a video of mine still. Whereas I think, if you try to go viral, you don't build up that SEO all the time.
That's interesting. So like, what's your advice for people even starting out YouTube now? I guess this is the advice to yourself as well.
My advice to myself is, man, I never used to do all these viral hooks, but I think this time I might try to be a bit more strategic on some of the tactics you take with YouTube. I think I just was like, if I'm going to produce good content, concise content, but good, and then build SEO, I'll eventually get there. But I think now I want to invest a lot more time in thumbnails and titles. I'll invest a lot more time in scripting and engaging audiences. And I'll invest time in my production quality, because I do think now everyone has insane quality that you just can't compete if you're doing it yourself, which I'm a shit editor myself.
But I guess I don't think you need crazy levels of editing though, right? Like Nisha doesn't do that.
No, but she has started and she's got an editor now.
Oh, she's got it now, yeah.
But I think when you start, you don't need to. But I do think you need a good camera at least and a good mic, because people will not watch if you have fuzzy audio, or if you have a really not visual setup. I think because it's almost they expect that, because all the people they watch has that, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like when I first started, the audio wasn't that great. I used like a £50 mic, and video, there was no video actually. And people, I got to sort of the limit of audio, and then it was like, well, next step is to bring it on video, but you can't do not very good video. You need to produce a really good, HD and different camera angles and all this type of thing. Or in some cases animations for other channels. So I agree, is the barrier to entry now is a lot higher than it used to be. And
first impression counts. 70% of when people make a first impression is based on how you look, and that is video at the end of the day, right?
But that's why as well, the drop off when it comes to videos, most people drop off within the first not even 30 seconds, the first sort of 10 to 15 seconds. So if you can sort of hook them for that, you've sort of got them for a long duration.
100%. And I think I never capitalized on these hooks because I almost felt like I was selling my soul by doing these clickbaity hooks. But I almost feel like today people will understand if you do them, because they almost see it all the time.
So where's the line with that in terms of producing high quality content versus clickbaity titles, clickbaity thumbnails, and those sort of viral hooks that everyone uses now?
I don't think it needs to be exclusive. So I think as long as you deliver on that hook, you're fine. So I think what I used to do was hey, my name is Kajol. In this video, I'm going to talk about XYZ. But I think, there are ways to spice it up in terms of, what is the stake of you not, I think a lot of people talk about stakes. What is the stake of you not being able to do something, and kind of talking about that as a way to pull someone in. And there's a few other different strategies that people do, or the transformation that someone can take by doing whatever you're trying to talk about in that video. So as long as you deliver on how they can do whatever to meet that, I think with good quality content, I think that's fine. I just think that you get these video titles if you don't watch this, then, X, Y, Z. And I think the reason why people watch me is because I've been told I'm very genuine. So almost there is a part of me which is if I do some clickbaity titles I lost X amount of money by doing X, Y, Z, which, let's just assume that. It's almost does that tarnish my personal brand and what people know me for doing? Yeah. But again, it's SEO building, and you just being very very non-clickbaity, or it's be viral, clickbaity hooks. And then just as long as you deliver, you know, it should be okay.
So what's the plan now going forward in terms of content creation? What are the timelines? what do you sort of bring up now?
So I have started to script again. I have also like got an editor this time because I feel like I need to at least do this with someone, so that also motivates me. And I'm not saying I'll give everything to the editor, but at least like initial stuff they can do, and then I could overlay myself on it. So I'm just waffling on this question. Let me start that again. So timelines. I have started to script videos. I am planning this year to restart again. I don't want to say exactly when, because I want to build a bank of content before I start this time. I didn't do that last time, basically. And there's kind of two things are kind of running on in the background. One is I am trying to set up my own strategy consulting firm, essentially. And two, I'm trying to start YouTube. So it's two really big things. And essentially, like, I'm hoping like both kind of like complement each other in some way this time. But I know that the power I need to use this time is kind of outsourcing a little bit of stuff. So when it comes to video editing and stuff like that, I'm going to try to not be a control freak this time and give it to someone else to do. But I still think that takes a lot of training. Like, I just started with a video editor, essentially. And I think it'll take me like 4 weeks to train her up to the style I want, at least, right? Because she's working on different other things. So the plan is very soon. That's the short answer to the waffly answer.
I want to pick you up on a previous answer you gave, because you said you think everyone should start a YouTube channel. Why did you say that? Why do you think that?
I think personal brand matters so much in today's world. And it's almost like back in the day in the 2000s when the first iPhone came up or the first computer came up, you either started a digital business and you grew 10 times, or like let's say Netflix, or you don't and you continue on and you're like a blockbuster. Right? And I genuinely think like over the next 15, 20 years, personal brand content will be king. And I think it is. I do agree there's an overconsumption of content, which is why you need to be really clear in terms of what is your personal brand, what do you stand for, what do you want people to think of when they see you, but also like what emotions do you want to evoke in someone, and how are you going to keep people coming back to you. And I think YouTube is a great way to reach a mass audience with your personal brand. So be it like, I don't know, you want to have a cooking business, or you want to, I don't know, make cars for the rest of your life, or, you know, gambling business, whatever it is. I just think YouTube is a great way to be seen as a influential person in that. But again, like, different people have different ambitions. You might not want to be that influential person. You might not want to make £10,000 a month, right? You may just want to do something because you love it. So it's incredibly important to also draw the line around making sure that when you do YouTube, it doesn't become a job that you begin to hate.
But some people go into it wanting YouTube to become their job, rather than the personal branding aspect.
I think, I think, look, each their own. I think that if you just focus on YouTube videos, that will never be a sustainable income for you going forwards. But if you want to sell courses or, you know, sell something off the base of that, totally understand it, right? Like, I totally understand that could be your full-time thing. So you need to be really clear in terms of what are you going to build the YouTube into, rather than, hey, I'm just going to create videos for fun. You need a strategy behind it. Like, I'm pretty sure people go into YouTube now think that actually I want to sell courses on XYZ because I know that shit. Let me use YouTube to build credibility in that space.
And you're saying it's definitely not too late to do that. There's still viewership. It's not saturated. There's still money to be made as well.
It's saturated. Yeah. But it's not like you can still compete. You can still compete, basically. And I still think, like, no matter what it is, like, you can still compete. Be it, I don't know, doing a sports race and you thinking that you're going to be last or whatever, to you know, creating content on YouTube, to podcasts. Everything is saturated. Everyone does everything today, right? but it's around finding your unfair advantage.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think for me, there's a few things in consulting which I've achieved I don't really talk about, but now I'm thinking about like, okay, now I can talk about how I came top 5% in Deloitte for the last 5 years. And maybe that's my unfair advantage to make me stand out on YouTube, right? So think about what in your story could you use, which will make people be like, damn, I'm going to watch her.
So it's defining like what sets you apart as an individual and telling that story.
Yeah. And you may not think like, it's something which people are going to be interested in, or it actually sets you apart. Like, for instance, my dad is an immigrant dad. He set up news agents. That is still part of my story. Like, that made me who I am today. And there are other people out there who connect on that. So there still is something, I would still call that an unfair advantage, which people connect on. So find that, right? Like, I'm kind of like mixing my points. Like, one point is here around like unfair advantage, what you stand out for, but also find out like how you can connect with people using that.
Yeah. It's like everyone can relate to your story in some aspect. So it's like, which parts of your story do you want to bring out?
Yeah, exactly.
To produce that.
I have always felt like on YouTube for the last 2 years, I don't want to sell stuff. I don't want to boast on YouTube about my career. Nazar man, it's a brown thing where you used to like evil eye. But now I'm like, actually to compete, I actually need to do that. If I want to leave consulting eventually, I do need to do that. And you've just got to play the game. Like, at work, sometimes you've got to delve into the office politics to get promoted. It's the you thing with this. You got to delve into it a little bit to kind of be seen as well, I think.
What about people that are nervous about starting, like similar position to maybe you were in, like when you first started?
I'm nervous now, man. I'm nervous now.
No, but in terms of like you'd be starting a YouTube channel talking about your career, but you're still in your career right now. Like, what about if your boss doesn't like it, or the company doesn't like it? Like,
you need to detach. That is the biggest thing you learn with YouTube, is that you need to detach what people think, what people say, be it how your friends will perceive you, how your boss will perceive you, what people write in comments. That's the biggest thing you need to learn when you do YouTube. And at the end of the day, your boss may not like it, but there are hundreds of other companies out there who would actually love you for doing it.
Yeah.
So if you have a dream and ambition to do it, then find somewhere which actually like positively reinforces it and, pushes you to do that, rather than someone that actually squishes you down. Otherwise, like you'll always have regrets, I think.
Yeah, I had a boss before that absolutely hated that I do this. Yeah. And me and him just didn't see eye to eye at all.
Yeah. And look, that happens. There are people who don't understand, why you would do this. I'm sure there are hundreds of people at Deloitte who don't understand why I do this. I know when I started out doing my first 10 videos, my friends laughed at me, even on career content, like, oh my God, like you're doing these videos. Haha, it's so cool. But actually deep down, they were like, such a loser for talking about career. Like, why would you work and then talk about career? But like, if you really believe in something, no one can detract that belief, right? Only you need to have that self-belief in yourself. So get some self-belief, get some detachment, learn that. And honestly, the first video is the hardest to do. Once you've done the first video and you've got yourself to do that and published it, like you will continue.
I think that's a great message. Okay, cool. Well, I think we're going to like wrap it up there. But yeah, I'm really excited to see this new content coming out. I think by the time this podcast goes out, hopefully you'll have some content coming out there as well. But yeah, Kajol, it's been such a pleasure having you on. Is there any like last messages you want to like leave with people before we wrap up?
Firstly, thanks for having me on this. I really enjoyed our conversation. I just think that like, listen, have no regrets in life. Always go after what you think you want to go after. And man, like the person who started KFC was in his 50s, bro, like in his McDonald's. Like there is no age to start something. There is no time better in the life to start something except for now. Just go for it.
Agree. How can people stay in touch with you and what you're doing in the future?
So you can watch me on my YouTube channel, Kajol Phadnis. That's Phadnis. Or you can find me on Instagram with the same account. And I will shortly be launching a consulting company called Growthcraft as well, where essentially I'll be advising businesses on how to build new products. So if you have a product as well, let me know.
Very cool. Thank you so much for coming on again. And yeah, I'm sure we'll chat very soon.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for clicking on this episode of The Millennial Entrepreneur. The ambition of the podcast is to share relatable stories from young entrepreneurs doing some incredible things to inspire the next generation, including you listening wherever wherever you are. We've been doing this podcast for over 3 years and the ambition has not changed. The only thing that has changed is the scale of where we want to go. We want to bring on bigger guests for you guys to show more and more relatable stories from young entrepreneurs across the world. The majority of you guys watching or listening haven't subscribed to the podcast yet. All you have to do is click that subscribe button wherever you're listening, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and that will allow us to bring on bigger guests and ask the questions that you really want to hear. And it really is that simple.